Good morning, everybody. It's 2024, and I am trying to keep a positive attitude. And that's why I ordered my new shirts. They're awesome. This is the earthworm that's making the soil great again. That's going to be my motto for this year. Make the soil great again. Okay. We're going to check in on this bin. Oh, my. So I noticed that these little bitty teeny tiny guys like to get up here in this bubble wrap because it's very moist. So I have the heaters on below these tanks, so I think the evaporation must happen. And it brings the moisture to the top. So I guess they hang out up there on the lid. And over here, I'm going to move this around. So like right here to my side is where my extra bins usually are. But today I have my tub full of food scraps. Bananas, everything that the store was basically throwing out. I have my hero that brings me those scraps. So I want you to see, we are feeding today, and I am amazed because it says here that I just fed and turned this bin on 12/26. Let's see how much they have left. Ooh, see that? That's a slice of pumpkin that I fed them. There's really not much left. So I'm gonna look in here and see what I got on the bottom. We got plenty of wood chips in here. Moisture level looks good. It's on the moist side, definitely moist. Lots of young babies, so our cocoons are hatching. That's why I left all the worms in these bins. I didn't like pull out cocoons, give them new bedding, put breeder worms in because I haven't got the numbers yet. I just got into this system. I started with a pound of worms in April, and I grew them all summer in one big bulk tank. Then I divided them up. I have 50 of these breeder bins. So they were a little scant. On population, when I started, a couple months ago, I think, I started bringing them in, so we had to build the towers. Well, I just kept splitting, and I kept splitting as we were building more towers. So now I'm up to 50 bins. According to my jewelry system, I'm getting up to pretty good population. And I need to learn to memorize how long it takes. I know it's like 21 days for cocoons to hatch, but then maybe like 10 weeks for them to be mature enough to start breeding. Now, at that point, oh my, that's when I'm going to have to move these extra into the nursery bins, and or like I may just split this in half, put half into the grow out nursery bin, and then leave half in here to continue to multiply. I don't know if that's like the most efficient way. So this is the bananas. This is papaya that I'm feeding them. I'm showing my population kind of low in this bin, but I feel like there's good, these are the potatoes. I'm just putting 2 lines here, so I try to give them a little bit of a variety of what I've got in this tub here. There's some pineapple and apple, and so I'm feeling like they're going to be growing because we got a young population in here. So I'm going to be out of this tub of food, fairly quick. So by next week, I'm going to need some more tubs. So I might bump up my collection of things for them. I don't know what I'm going to do because I really don't want that whole responsibility. Making sure that I've got the stuff coming in regularly. So what I would like is to have people have like a drop-off system where they bring their scraps from home, and then they can pick up a new bucket that I'll clean the bucket and, you know, give it back to them. And then that way they're bringing it to me and I don't have to go out and collect. I don't know. And then it's like, if you go to the grocery store, I mean, maybe I could just ask them if I could dig through their dumpster. I'm not too good for that. And then like once a week go up and get all the produce, or maybe just talk to the produce manager and say, hey, when do you unload these things, and what day should I show up for the dumpster dive? And I put these leaves over the top of it. Just, I like to keep some aeration. I guess, I don't know, maybe I'll stop doing that, because I kind of feel concerned about the little babies that are on that bubble wrap, that dry leaf layer. I don't know if they can penetrate that or not. I'm just going to use the dry leaves to clean off my glove, because one thing about the gloves, I have like a pile of gloves because I like to use a glove. I just don't want this on my hands constantly, so I dry the glove off a little bit after I use it with the leaves. Sometimes I use coffee grinds if I got them in here. And then I have a pile of, like, so when you take them off, sometimes the inside gets wet. So once it gets wet, it goes in the wet pile. And then as long as it stays dry, I'll reuse it a few times. And then I have a pile of them. So the next day, they're pretty much dry again, so I can reuse them. So I'm not wasting a glove every time, no. So this was fed and turned. Perfect. I still feel like our numbers are kind of low. Our bedding's still good. Cocoons. But really, there weren't many cocoons. I think I had a hatch, you know. There's a bunch of little ones. And I'm not monitoring the little ones yet. My moisture's good, so I don't have any red flags here. Because I haven't figured out how I'm going to make this whole system work in the long term. Especially if I don't continue to just split them in half and move them out to a grower. If I end up having to do some sort of a cocoon thing, I don't know. But anyway, this is what goes on anymore. I think I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble here. I know, I can always take them, toss them out in the garden when I get overwhelmed. But I have invested quite a bit in this little operation. So, but that doesn't mean that I can't put it on standby until I decide. Ooh, see how nice? All I have is those black soldier flies, and stuff love that foam. They want to crawl all over it. End up getting all that pumpkin skin. So again, these guys were all fed 12/26, and they have ate it all. So I will turn this in. This bin, it's not too moist. Ooh, we got lots of worms. So the numbers are definitely high. I've got a white bead. So I'm going to change that bead to probably a medium number because I'm not concerned there's too many. But this bedding doesn't look like it has any of the shavings, the wood shavings in it. And I feel like that gets too heavy. It mats together too much. And so there's not as much aerobic areas there, because what I'm basically using this for is agriculture amendments, and what I really want to make sure happens is that I do not end up with anaerobic conditions where my NH4 ammonium gets converted to ammonia, and oh, it's a papaya seed. So what I like to do is add these chips. And I'll add like 4 to 5 handfuls is what I feel is a good blend once it gets mixed in. So I feel like this moisture level isn't crazy wet. But what I'll do is, for the first time, when I just get these chips in here, and I probably should wet the chips slightly. You know what would be nice is if I soak those chips in that, but I'm not going to. So what I do then is just, I put this over the top of those chips. So I got a good aerobic layer on the bottom. These are not excessively dry. But once this sits, and I can moisten this some too. Once this sits on those chips, they begin to take on some of that moisture. And the next time I work this bed, I will work those chips into this soil. For some crazy reason, I feel like I do not want to work the chips in right now because they're like super dry. I don't know. I feel like I probably should pre-moisten, but I don't want anything soaking very long in water. That also will create somewhat of an anaerobic condition, and I just don't want to promote the anaerobes. We want to promote the aerobic bacteria, and in order to do that, we got to keep it very, very aerated. So I could try and mix that in, but I feel like the worms aren't going to like adding in that dry material. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'll water this a little bit. That way we'll have a little more moisture up here in the bedding that can seep down, because at this point I'm not concerned about anaerobic conditions. They're very aerated up here. Plus we have that nice aerated bottom layer, and so we can add a little more moisture so we can get those chips to take on water a little faster than if we didn't, because I feel like this part is a little bit drier than what I want for getting some moisture down in that bottom chip layer. But there's no reason to mix them in right now, being dry. I'm planning ahead for the next turn, that I'm then going to say, yes, I have a bin that is just, I feel like it's just, I call it musical. I'm not a magical person, but music, yes. Man, that is a teeny tiny little guy. Wow. Oh boy, he is little. So he's brand new. That was really cool to find one that small. Oh boy. Oh boy, I'm probably killing, I don't know how many here. So we're gonna do a little water. We're gonna do a little food. Again, potatoes. Just a couple here and a couple there. I have a lot of potatoes here, so I think I have a whole bag somewhere. And we'll give them some bananas. They love their bananas. You're gonna have to be pretty tough to put up with the smell of this stuff, because I bring it in. It's outside now. I don't know what I'm gonna do when things get warm out. How am I gonna store these foods? I'm really gonna need a darn freezing walk-in cooler probably to store these food scraps. Oh my, this is gonna get to be a nightmare. Okay, well, I guess what? I'm probably just going to I'm gonna take these all outside in the summertime anyway, so they're not gonna be in here in the basement. And that way, who cares about flies? Who's gonna be outside? I'll have them in big grow out bins at that point, probably. Anyway, comment so that I can get prepared for summer, preserving all these food scraps, which I know are gonna want to spoil very fast. So how's that look for 2 layers of, I mean, like this right here is just a piece of the cardboard it's a biodegradable that these food scraps come in. So Let me go ahead and take it. I can put this up. Put some layers just to cover that up. I'm gonna put the water over the top of the leaves. That way they get moistened too a little bit. And ta-da! All right. I can just wheel. Oh, my cart needs to be oil greased. I don't know what to call it. It's an old cart. It's a good one. So see how I'm just moistening the leaves down. And that water's going to trickle right on down to that wood chip layer. And it's going to moisten them down there. Okay, we're good. Add our lid. Back to it. I should probably always moisten that just so these little wisps that are in the bottom of the bubble tape can get back down to the food, which I'm sure they can. I'm just over obsessing about them. So we've changed the bin. So moving over the, I think our population is probably going to need a gray bead. See, easy enough to change that. Bedding, good. Cocoon levels, good. Food, moisture, everything looks the same. Looks good. Okay, so this is our next now extra bin. And we can put this bin back. So thanks for watching my video on making soil great again with earthworms. Everyone, set your goals for 2024 and let's make sure we achieve them.